Listen, I'm gonna be real with you for a second. I just watched footage that absolutely broke my heart. A peaceful little mountain town in New Mexico. Families just living their lives. Kids playing outside. People probably having their morning coffee. And in less than 10 minutes, everything they knew was gone. Cars underwater. People are screaming for help. Families trapped on rooftops. Children didn't make it out. And I know what you're thinking. Another natural disaster, right? Climate change, bad luck, wrong place, wrong time. But guys, this isn't just another flood. There's something happening here that nobody in the mainstream media wants to talk about, something the weather experts can't explain, and if we keep ignoring it, if we keep burying our heads in the sand, Ruidoso is just the beginning of something much bigger coming to America. Okay, so here's what happened, and this is where it gets really heavy, where it gets really personal for me. Ruidoso, New Mexico. Beautiful mountain town, about 8,000 people. The kind of place where everybody knows everybody, where kids ride their bikes to school, where the biggest worry used to be whether the ski slopes would have enough snow. These people just went through absolute hell 9 days ago. July 8th, massive flooding that nobody saw coming. 3 people died that day. A father in his 40s, probably somebody's husband, somebody's son. A precious little 4-year-old girl who was just starting to discover the world. Her 7-year-old brother who probably protected her as long as he could. Can you imagine? Can you even wrap your mind around parents watching their babies get swept away by a raging river they never thought would touch their lives? I've got kids, and just thinking about it, man, it tears me apart. So they're still picking up the pieces, still grieving, still trying to rebuild their shattered lives. Funeral services are barely over. Kids are asking their parents when their friends are coming back. The community is trying to hold each other up while they figure out how to move forward. And then July 17th hits. Again, more flooding, more terror, more families running for their lives in the middle of the night, more emergency alerts blaring through phones, telling people to evacuate now because the water's rising fast. 3 more people had to be rescued from the water. 3 more families almost lost everything. Can you imagine being a parent in Ruidoso right now? How do you tuck your kids into bed when you don't know if you're going to have to grab them and run again? I mean, what are the odds? Seriously, what are the mathematical chances of this happening twice in 9 days to the same small town? Unless this isn't about odds at all. Unless this isn't about climate change or weather patterns or bad luck. What if God is trying to get our attention and we're just not listening? What if he's shaking this little town because he's trying to wake up a sleeping nation? Now look, I'm not making this up. I'm not some conspiracy theorist sitting in my basement making stuff up for views. I spent hours going through the reports, cross-referencing sources, because I needed to make sure I was telling you the truth. KOB4 News confirmed 3 more water rescues on the 17th. The Times of India, even international news picked this up. Reported houses completely submerged, roads turned into rivers. The official Ruidoso village website. Man, reading their emergency updates just broke my heart. You can hear the desperation in their words. And get this, back on July 8th, the Rio Ruidoso rose 20 feet in just hours. 20 feet. That's like a 2-story building worth of water just rushing through a town that's used to maybe a foot or 2 during heavy rains. The National Weather Service called it historic flooding. Historic. I've got screenshots of the emergency alerts they sent out. Flash flood emergency. Evacuate now. This is a life-threatening situation. At 2 a.m., families being woken up to run for their lives. This isn't some conspiracy theory I'm cooking up. This is real. This is happening right now to real families with real names and real faces and real pain. But here's where it gets really weird, where it starts feeling less like coincidence and more like intention. Are you ready for this? Before these floods came, this exact same area was absolutely scorched by wildfires. The South Fork Fire and Salt Fire burned over 25,000 acres around Ruidoso just weeks before. So you've got burn scars everywhere, no vegetation to hold the soil together, no roots to slow down the water, and then these monsoon rains hit like a freight train. From a practical standpoint, yeah, it makes sense. Fire plus rain equals flooding. Any meteorologist will tell you that. But spiritually, man, this is giving me chills that won't go away. Remember what Jesus said in Luke 17? As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the days of the Son of Man. People were eating and drinking, marrying and being given in marriage up to the day Noah entered the ark. Then the flood came and destroyed them all. People were just living their normal lives, going through their routines, ignoring all the signs God was giving them, until the water started rising and it was too late to change course. Matthew 24 talks about birth pains. And anybody who's had a baby knows how this works. The contractions start slow and far apart, but they get closer together and more intense as the delivery gets near. Jesus said these signs would be like birth pains before his return. And Romans 8 verse 22 says something that just haunts me. We know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time. Groaning, like the earth itself is in labor, in pain, crying out. Guys, what if America's rebellion against God has real consequences? What if when we mock him, ignore him, push him out of our schools and courts and hearts and public squares? What if he actually responds? What if there are real-world results to spiritual rebellion? I keep thinking about 2 Chronicles 7 verse 14. If my people, who are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin and will heal their land. But what happens when we don't humble ourselves? What happens when we don't turn from our wicked ways? What if instead we double down on pride, on sin, on pushing God away? What if this little mountain town, this place most of us never heard of before this week, is just God's way of saying, wake up, America. This is what judgment looks like, and I'm just getting started? And here's the part that really scares me. If we don't listen, if we just shrug this off as another sad news story and go back to our comfortable lives, what's next? What's he gonna have to do to get our attention? Look, I know this is heavy. Trust me, I don't like talking about judgment any more than you like hearing about it. I'd rather talk about God's love and blessing and prosperity. That'd get me more views, more subscribers, more positive comments. But we can't keep pretending everything's fine when it's not. We can't keep playing church while the world burns around us. I've been a Christian for over 20 years, and I've never felt the spiritual atmosphere like this. There's something shifting. Something is changing. The enemy is getting bolder, but God is also moving in ways I've never seen before. God shook Ruidoso with fire. Then he shook it with flood. And we're all sitting here like, well, that's too bad for them, and going back to our Netflix and our comfortable lives and our Sunday morning religion that doesn't cost us anything. But what's it gonna take? What's he gonna have to do to get our attention? How many more Ruidosos? How many more children have to die before we realize this isn't just about weather? This isn't just about climate change, guys. This is about turned our backs on everything you stand for. We've called evil good and good evil. We've celebrated sin and persecuted righteousness. We've forgotten that you're not just a cosmic vending machine who exists to make our lives comfortable. And now we're surprised when the earth starts shaking, when your creation groans under the weight of our rebellion. Lord, wake up your church. I'm talking about the real church, not the social clubs, not the entertainment centers, not the places where people go to feel good about themselves, but the people who actually know your voice and aren't afraid to speak the truth even when it's uncomfortable. Shake us out of our comfort zones. Burn away whatever's fake in our hearts. Strip away our pride, our self-righteousness, our lukewarm religion that looks good on Sunday but doesn't change how we live the other 6 days. Raise up prophetic voices who aren't afraid to call sin sin. Raise up intercessors who will stand in the gap. Raise up evangelists who will preach the real gospel, not just the parts that make people feel good. And God, please, please don't let people ignore this warning. Don't let them just change the channel and forget. Don't let them explain it away with science and statistics. Use this to break through hearts that have been hardened by pride and deception. For those watching who don't know you yet, don't let them drown in their pride. Let this flood wash away their excuses. Let your spirit convict them before it's too late. Show them that you're not angry at them, you're angry at the sin that's destroying them. Open their eyes to see that you're not the problem, you're the solution. You're not the one bringing judgment, you're the one offering mercy while there's still time. Jesus, you're our only hope. When the floods come, you're our ark. When the storms rage, you're our rock. When everything falls apart, you're still standing. Help us build our lives on you instead of the sand of this world's wisdom. Help us trust you even when we don't understand. Help us love you more than our comfort, more than our safety, more than our reputation. Bring revival, Lord. Bring it fast. Bring it deep. Bring it real. Because honestly, I don't think we can handle much more shaking without a massive outpouring of your spirit. Start with me. Start with us. Let revival begin in our own hearts before we ask you to move in others. In your powerful, matchless name, Amen. Listen, if you made it this far, you're not here by accident. God led you to this message for a reason. And I need to tell you something. What happened in Ruidoso? This is just the beginning. I've been tracking patterns across America that are absolutely mind-blowing. Floods, fires, earthquakes, all happening in places with specific spiritual significance. Next week, I'm breaking down the new Madrid fault line and why what's brewing there should terrify every American. But here's what I really need from you right now. Drop a comment and type, "Lord, I'm listening." When you do that, you're not just engaging with a video, you're making a declaration. You're telling God and everyone watching that you refuse to sleep through the most critical hour in American history. And honestly, reading those comments, they give me chills every single time. They remind me we're not alone in this. Share this video, and I mean right now, while this fire is burning in your spirit. Send it to that family member who thinks you're crazy for believing in prophecy. Send it to that friend who's been drifting away from God. Send it to that pastor who's been preaching cotton candy instead of truth. Because somebody in your circle needs to see this, and you might be their only wake-up call. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because what I'm about to show you in the coming weeks will blow your mind. I'm exposing connections between current events and Bible prophecy that the mainstream church won't touch. Next Tuesday, we're diving into why every major disaster in the last 2 years has happened within 100 miles of an abortion clinic. Thursday, I'm revealing what the eclipse patterns of 2017, 2024, and the upcoming 2045 eclipse are trying to tell us about America's destiny. And if you really want to go deeper, check out my playlist called The Shaking Has Begun. Videos documenting prophetic events that happened in just the last 6 months. Join our prayer army in the comments. Every week, we're seeing miracles happen when this community comes together. Last month, we prayed for a family facing eviction. 3 days later, they got a job offer that doubled their income. We prayed for a teenager contemplating suicide. She's now leading worship at her church. This isn't just a YouTube channel, guys. This is a supernatural community of believers who aren't playing games with God. Look, most Christians are asleep. Most churches are dead. Most pastors are afraid to speak the truth. But you're part of the remnant. You're the ones who will stand when everything else falls. You're the ones who see what others miss. So don't just watch and leave. Engage, share, subscribe, because we're building something here that's bigger than any of us. We're building an army of awakened believers who refuse to bow to the spirit of this age. The next video drops Monday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern. It's called The California Warning Nobody Saw Coming. And what I'm about to show you about the recent earthquakes will make Ruidoso look like a gentle warning. We're just getting started. Don't miss what God is doing. We are the remnant. We will not be silent. And we will not back down.